what if the reason you can't focus isn't a lack of willpower, but actually like a lack of physical shock?
Oh, that's an interesting way to put it.
Right. I mean, I want you to imagine a scenario. Imagine waking up exactly 30 days from now, looking in the mirror, and realizing that your entire life, like your habits, your focus, just the way the world interacts with you, has completely unmistakably transformed.
That's a huge promise. We normally view personal evolution as this glacial creeping process that takes, a decade.
Exactly. But today we are looking at a hard reboot. We are doing a deep dive into a very specific, pretty intense roadmap laid out in a YouTube video. It's from the channel Think Up.
Right, yeah.
And the source material is titled How to Disappear and Transform Yourself, age 1325.
Which is a very specific demographic.
It is, yeah.
Yeah.
That title obviously calls out a younger audience, people navigating the absolute chaos of early adulthood. But our mission today is to extract the underlying psychology of this creator's 6-stage roadmap.
Because the underlying mechanisms, the psychology of breaking out of a rut and engineering this sort of what I call a lightning strike comeback, it really applies to anyone listening.
100%. Whether you are 15 or 50, it doesn't matter. Okay, let's unpack this because we should probably start with the fundamental premise of the entire challenge.
The physical aspect.
Right. The creator argues that you absolutely cannot just think your way into a new personality. To trigger a mental transformation, you actually have to subject yourself to physical shock.
Which, biologically speaking, fundamentally disrupts your status quo.
Yeah.
I mean, the human brain is at its core an energy-saving organ.
It's lazy.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
It loves the comfort zone because the comfort zone is highly predictable. And in biological terms, predictable means safe.
Right. Right.
So to get the brain to abandon its deeply ingrained neural pathways and adopt new ones, you basically have to convince it that the current environment demands a completely new version of you just to survive.
And the video uses the ultimate pop culture archetype to illustrate this. Bruce Wayne.
Oh, perfect example.
Yeah, the creator points out that Bruce Wayne had insane wealth, a life of total luxury, just the ultimate comfort zone. But to become Batman, he had to actively abandon that safety.
He had to choose the pain.
Exactly. He went into the brutal mountains and subjected his body and mind to absolute torture. Batman wasn't built for a comfortable life, he was built for a mission.
It's the deliberate selection of adversity. The creator is setting up this paradigm where comfort is the literal enemy of progress.
Yeah.
If you want a powerful comeback, you have to manufacture your own metaphorical mountain training, so to speak. You have to prove to your nervous system that the old rules no longer apply.
And they don't leave that as just a neat metaphor either. The source lays out a very strict 30-day winter mindset physical protocol.
The 30-day shock.
Yeah. Step 1, you wake up early, and then exactly 30 minutes later, you step into a freezing cold shower. Right. The video claims this is proven to 10x your motivation and mental output, and then you are required to hit 10,000 steps a day, plus a 30-minute workout.
What kind of workout?
Push-ups, squats, and skipping. Basically, you are forcing the body into a state of high exertion right out of the gate every single day.
What's fascinating here is the neurochemical cascade that this specific routine triggers. When you force yourself into a cold shower, you aren't just waking up.
You're shocking the system.
You're deliberately spiking your adrenaline and noradrenaline. But more importantly, you're simultaneously triggering a massive, prolonged release of dopamine.
Really? Just from the cold water?
Yes. You are artificially creating a high-alert, highly motivated state. Yeah. You're essentially using physical stressors to just hack your brain's baseline chemistry.
It's like a frozen computer,
How do you mean?
Well, when the screen is locked up and no programs are responding, you don't just keep clicking the mouse hoping it figures itself out. You hold down the power button for a hard physical reset.
Right.
So that freezing water and those morning push-ups, they act as the hard reset, just clearing out the sluggish RAM.
That is an excellent way to conceptualize it. The friction is the feature, not a bug. When you conquer the cold water, you're proving to your own brain that your conscious will is stronger than your primal desire for warmth and comfort.
Yeah, you're in charge.
Exactly. You are building undeniable physical evidence that you are in control of the vessel.
And the protocol goes even further, demanding that you tackle your insecurities with that same blunt force.
Oh, this part was intense.
Very. The creator states that hiding insecurities is the sign of a weak and loser mindset.
Strong words.
Yeah, if you're insecure about your body, get to the gym. If you're bad at communicating, force yourself to practice.
Right.
And if it's a natural trait, you literally cannot change.
What do they say to do that?
The video advises you to accept it like a man and just become powerful regardless.
It is a very modern application of Stoicism, really. It forces a harsh but necessary differentiation between what is within your locus of control and what is not. You refuse to let the uncontrollable dictate your self-worth, and you aggressively attack the things you can actually change.
And to reinforce that self-worth, the creator introduces a daily 2-minute power pose.
Yes. Shoulders back, chest up.
Exactly. The claim is that doing this physically boosts testosterone and drops the stress hormone cortisol. And you're supposed to combine that with 5 to 10 minutes of morning meditation. It almost sounds like, faking it till your biology makes it.
Well, the relationship between posture and hormones is definitely a subject of intense ongoing debate in the scientific community.
But there is something to it.
Yes, the psychological impact of proprioception, which is how your body's physical position in space affects your mind. That is very well documented.
So posture really does matter.
Absolutely. If you slouch, your brain interprets that physical folding inward as a state of defeat or low energy. But if you stand tall and expand your chest, you send a potent physical signal to your brain that you are engaged, alert, and ready to take up space.
You're aligning your physical architecture with the mental willpower needed to sustain the comeback.
Exactly.
Okay, so you've taken the cold shower, you're standing tall, your adrenaline is pumping, you've generated all this raw neurochemical energy.
Which is great, but
Right, but energy without a target just bleeds away into anxiety or mindless scrolling.
yes, it dissipates.
So how do we actually harness that adrenaline? The creator warns that protecting this energy from modern distractions is where most people completely fail. And here's where it gets really interesting.
The timer.
Yes, the video introduces Parkinson's law to manufacture focus.
Right. Parkinson's law is the observation that work expands to fill the time allotted for its completion.
Right. So if you give yourself an entire afternoon to write a single email.
You will spend 4 hours agonizing over a single email.
Exactly. So the strategy here is to artificially manufacture the deadline effect every single day.
The panic monster.
Yeah. Think about how hyper-focused you get the night before a massive exam. You somehow learn a year's worth of material in 12 hours because failure is imminent.
It's incredible what the brain can do under pressure.
The goal is to harness that exact panic on command. And you do this through strict 90-minute work blocks.
90 minutes, yeah.
You set a highly visible countdown timer, you write down a clear goal, no phone, no getting up, and if your brain starts to wander, the creator has a fail-safe.
Which is pretty unique.
Yeah, you immediately count backward from 5, or you drop to the floor and do 10 push-ups.
To understand why that backward counting works, we have to look at the default mode network.
What?
Think of it as the brain's screensaver mode. When you aren't intensely focused on a specific task, this network takes over, and your mind starts wandering to what you're having for dinner, or an argument you had 3 years ago.
I hate when it does that.
Right. But counting backward from 5 is an unnatural cognitive task. It violently jiggles the mouse, turns off the screensaver, and forces your prefrontal cortex, the logical executive part of the brain, to snap back online.
Okay, I understand the mechanism there, but let me push back on the 90-minute timer protocol for a second.
Sure.
We are essentially putting ourselves in a daily pressure cooker. I mean, isn't there a massive risk of burning out if we treat a random Tuesday afternoon like the night before a final exam?
Well, chronic stress certainly leads to burnout, yes. But the 90-minute parameter is actually the biological safeguard here.
How so?
It aligns perfectly with human ultradian rhythms. Just like we have circadian rhythms for our sleep-wake cycle over 24 hours, our brains operate in shorter cycles throughout the day.
Like little mini cycles.
Exactly. We naturally experience peaks of high cognitive focus followed by a physiological dip roughly every 90 to 120 minutes. So you aren't meant to be in pressure cooker all day. You sprint in alignment with your biology, and then you step away to recover.
And the recovery phase is heavily regulated in this deep dive, too. The creator introduces the 7-day dopamine detox.
Which is brutal for most people.
Oh, totally. The video uses a visual of a diamond to show how easily our brains get hooked on cheap thrills. The rule is absolute restriction for 7 days. No scrolling reels, no junk food, no easy pleasures.
Because for most people living in the modern world, The baseline of dopamine is artificially elevated by constant digital stimulation.
Our phones are basically slot machines.
Exactly. When your brain is accustomed to the rapid-fire dopamine hits of social media algorithms,
Yeah.
staring at a textbook or a spreadsheet feels painfully understimulating. The detox is designed to starve the brain of those cheap thrills so it recalibrates.
It learns to find satisfaction in the friction of hard, meaningful work again.
Precisely.
And to sustain that hard work, the source gets very specific about physical fuel. 8 to 9 hours of sleep is mandatory.
Non-negotiable.
It's non-negotiable. And interestingly, the creator explicitly promotes a 3-in-1 supplement. It's called Phytica Vita 365. It requires 1 tablet daily for 45 days.
Which is quite a specific regimen.
It is. And just a quick note for you listening, we are simply reporting the facts of the source material here. We are absolutely not endorsing the specific supplement or taking any stance on it.
Right, neutral reporting.
Yeah. But the creator justifies it by saying modern diets make it too hard to get the necessary nutrients for this kind of intense cognitive output.
Well, if we look at the specific ingredients the video highlights, we can see the creator is essentially trying to build, like, a chemical armor for the brain.
What's in it exactly?
They mention it contains 20 vitamins and minerals, plus ashwagandha, which acts as a cortisol dampener to keep you from burning out during those 90-minute stress sprints.
Oh, gotcha.
They also mention probiotics for gut health, great seed for the heart, biotin for hair and skin, and ginseng to fuel energy levels. The underlying logic is that you cannot separate the mind from the body. You cannot demand elite cognitive performance if your biological hardware is starved of raw materials.
Makes sense. Okay, so you've reset the hardware, the 90-minute timer is ticking down, your phone is locked in another room.
You're ready to go.
But staring at the blank page or staring at a heavy dumbbell is still deeply intimidating.
The friction of starting is always the highest.
Always. So how do you actually cross that threshold and begin? The creator introduces the physics of starting and sustaining through something called the David Goggins rule.
Ah, yes. Goggins is widely regarded as one of the most disciplined athletes on the planet. I mean, the man routinely runs 100-mile ultramarathons.
Which is insane. But the video points out that when Goggins began his journey, his very first goal was just to run a single mile nonstop.
Just 1 mile.
Just one. And he failed. He struggled immensely just to get through 1 mile. The lesson here is that to build unshakable discipline, you must make the starting line incredibly small.
If we connect this to the bigger picture, shrinking the starting line is a direct hack to bypass the amygdala.
The fear center.
Yes, exactly. The amygdala is the brain's fear center. When you sit down and tell yourself, I need to write a 10,000-word thesis today, your brain perceives that massive expenditure of energy as a literal threat to your survival.
It freaks out.
It does. It triggers anxiety, and it deploys procrastination as a defense mechanism to keep you safe from exhausting yourself.
Which perfectly explains the next strategy they talk about, the 2-minute rule.
Oh, this is a great one.
The creator says when you have a massive task, do not think about the 10 hours it will take. Tell yourself you are only going to write 40 words in 2 minutes. That's it.
You're sneaking past your own security system.
Exactly. It makes me think of trying to push a stalled car,
Oh, that's a good analogy.
Because getting a heavy vehicle to inch forward from a dead stop is agonizing. You are straining every muscle in your legs just to move it an inch. The neurological friction is massive.
But once the tires complete a single rotation,
Momentum takes over, yeah. Suddenly the car feels 10 times lighter. The 2-minute rule isn't about finishing the work. It's just about getting the tires rolling.
because once you initiate the task, you often enter a flow state. The act of doing the work generates its own momentum, carrying you forward long past those initial 2 minutes.
But you can't rely entirely on raw willpower to push that car every single day.
No, willpower depletes.
Right, so the creator emphasizes using environmental design. If your goal is to hydrate first thing in the morning, you put a glass of water right next to your bed so you literally bump into it when you wake up.
You engineer your surroundings so that the good habit is the path of least resistance.
You are offloading the burden of discipline from your mind to your environment.
Yes, exactly.
And once that car is rolling, the video demands a 1% daily improvement. That's stage 4. Tiny increments.
Yeah, if you read for 25 minutes today, you read for 30 minutes tomorrow. The creator stresses that consistency matters significantly more than perfection. You don't have to be brilliant. You just have to be slightly better than yesterday.
It is the mathematical power of compound interest applied to human behavior.
Exactly.
A 1% improvement is barely noticeable in the moment, but over a period of months, the compounding effect yields exponential growth.
Okay, so the daily habits are locked in. The compound interest is building. You're waking up early, working in deep ultradian sprints, and improving daily.
You're doing the work.
You're doing the work. But now we encounter the most dangerous threat to the entire transformation.
Other people.
Other people.
Yeah.
The urge to show off what you're doing before you've actually finished doing it. The final stages of this roadmap focus heavily on the psychology of absolute silence.
Which is arguably the most difficult aspect of the protocol for anyone living in our hyper-connected, deeply performative culture. Oh, for sure. The creator makes silence an absolute mandate. You must hide your struggles. You must sweat in complete secrecy.
No posting about it.
Nothing. You are strictly forbidden from telling friends your plans, tweeting about your early wake-ups, or posting your reading list on Instagram. You go completely dark.
This raises an important question about the mechanisms of motivation. Why is silence so critical?
Why do they insist on it?
Because there is a profound psychological trap we fall into when we share our ambitions. When you tell a friend, I'm going to start running 5 miles a day, your brain releases a premature dose of dopamine in response to their praise.
Oh, wow. So you feel accomplished already.
Exactly. You get the subtle reward of being recognized as an ambitious person without having actually run a single step.
So by enforcing total silence, you plug that leak. You prevent yourself from consuming that premature reward, forcing yourself to delay gratification until the actual work is completed.
That's the idea.
But I have to challenge this total isolation rule.
Okay, let's hear it.
Because if you're listening to this on your commute, you might be thinking, I can't just vanish and ghost everyone in my life. By going completely dark, aren't we cutting off the very real-world support systems that could catch us if we stumble? Doesn't total isolation invite, like, a mental health crisis?
It is an incredibly sharp razor's edge, you're right. The psychological toll of total isolation is very real. And the creator themselves warns that you will face extreme loneliness.
They admit that.
They do. They explicitly state that fake friends will disappear and people might mock you, calling you a loser or a fool for opting out of social events. However, the core philosophy they are driving at is the vital necessity of eliminating the performative self.
The performative self.
Yes. Think about it. So much of our daily energy is spent managing how others perceive us. We curate our personalities to fit the expectations of our peer groups.
That's true.
If you completely remove the audience, you strip away those expectations. You are forced to confront who you actually are and what you genuinely want to achieve, entirely independent of external validation.
So it's about finding out what's left when nobody is watching.
Precisely. Now, the creator does suggest relying on online communities of like-minded individuals to survive this phase.
So you aren't entirely alone.
Right, but the heavy lifting must be done alone. Success, they argue, isn't about being the smartest person in the room. It's about being the person who refuses to give up in the dark.
Which leads directly into the final stage, the ultimate comeback.
Stage 6.
Yeah. The video describes this outcome as becoming a highly respected, disciplined powerhouse, the kind of person whose former doubters are now terrified to even compare themselves against.
A total transformation.
But here's the most surprising revelation from the entire deep dive. The creator admits that they have been on this exact journey for 4 years.
Wow.
And they themselves are still trying to reach this final perfected stage.
That is a remarkable moment of vulnerability. And it completely reframes the entire video.
It really does.
It reveals that the 30-day hook in the title is merely the ignition sequence.
Just to get the car rolling.
Exactly. The physical shock might jumpstart the engine in 30 days. But the true realization of this transformation is a lifelong pursuit. It is a horizon you are always walking toward, not a finish line you cross.
So let's step back and look at the massive arc of this blueprint. We've journeyed from using Bruce Wayne's method of physical shock-like cold showers and power poses to hard reset our neurochemistry.
Right.
We learned how to protect that energy by starving our modern dopamine baseline and using 90-minute timers to ride our natural biological rhythms.
We figured out the physics of starting, too.
Yeah, sneaking past our brain's fear center by shrinking the starting line to just 2 minutes. And finally, we explored the grueling necessity of executing all of this in complete, unyielding silence to kill the performative self. So what does this all mean?
It means that true, undeniable transformation is never accidental. It has to be ruthlessly engineered. It requires a deliberate dismantling of your comfortable environment, your ingrained habits, and your social feedback loops to make room for something exceptional.
Which leaves us with a pretty provocative thought to chew on.
What's that?
If achieving our absolute highest potential requires us to completely disappear from the world's gaze, how much of our everyday identity is just a carefully rehearsed performance, designed entirely for the people watching us right now?
That is the ultimate question.
Until next time.